I'm here with Brian Capouch of St. Joseph's College. He's been teaching programming through a lot of web technologies lately, and a variety of other things as well. But why don't you tell the story of teaching the JavaScript, the web, the programming in that context?
Well, one of the biggest problems that I face as a teacher is deciding what to teach. Mm-hmm. A few years ago, there was sort of an established canon, what we're going to teach. You're going to teach C, you're going to teach Java, you're going to teach SQL databases. You know, there's a sort of a standard canon that you taught, and it's all been turned on its head. The web, DevOps, software-defined networking, NoSQL, functional programming, the list gets longer and longer. And what I face is people who come to me, alumni, and they've been very, very successful, and they tell me, you must adopt this technology. Your students are going to be at a risk if they don't adopt this and come out literate in this technology. We've gotten to a point now where that list has gotten longer than what I can cover in 4 years, 8 semesters of training. And so the real problem that I've got is really pruning. What don't I teach? What do I teach? And so another thing that I've talked to many people about is that the notion of what JavaScript does and doesn't do has changed in the last 5 years. And when I talk to a lot of alumni who are from the old school of JavaScript, the old school of JavaScript is that it's decoration on your pages and everything's done on the server side. And so I really am struggling right now to try to decide exactly where to aim the curriculum. What I've decided upon is that an essential skill is going to be using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to do web pages that actually are programmed as opposed to marked up, in that sense. And so the real problem I have is where to introduce that. And right now I don't have an answer to that question. We have tried a whole variety of introductory techniques, starting with C and moving to Java, starting with Java and moving to C. And each of them has its own problem. Right now, the people who are basically counseling me not to go with the JavaScript approach say, look how complicated. You're going to have to teach them the DOM. You're going to have to teach them CSS. You're going to have to teach them HTML. You're going to have to teach them HTML5 and semantic markup. You'll never get it done.
You won't have to go deep into memory management, though.
No, absolutely. But then I will raise that question because now the people who are doing hardcore, like, a data center, it's like you need to have your students being able to analyze, RAM requirements and where your memory is going to come from and what memory is going to be local and what's going to be on your servers, and it's a wonderful problem to have, but the problem is the surfeit of choice. I have so many different ways to go, and trying to pick the right path is really a challenge, and it's one that a place like OSCON has really helped me with because I get to kind of talk to people who are doing things and run ideas past people, and that's one thing there's no shortage of at OSCON is ideas and advice.
Well, my favorite thing is kind of moving between different contexts, so you can sort of see things in their places and how they compare and how they compete. And JavaScript is kind of a latecomer in all of this, and I keep finding that it teaches slightly different lessons, but it can still learn from all the rest of these.
I hope. I am new to JavaScript as well. I've only been programming JavaScript. In fact, each year I have an OSCON habit. I go to Powell's one day, and I choose a book that is going to be the book that it's something I know nothing about.
Right.
Okay. And last year it was, in fact, JavaScript. And so we rolled it out very heavily at school. And I won't say that I'm completely proficient at it yet, but I will say that compared to the other languages I've coded in, it's pretty fun. I mean, JavaScript's a nice language.
It has a high fun level. You're also talking about the shift to single-page applications.
Correct.
And sort of the JavaScript programming a complete environment in the web browser. How's that working?
Well, the miracle of that, and the hard part to try to talk to a traditional developer about, is that you really are downloading a program that's going to operate inside a virtual machine, and that virtual machine is the browser. Mm-hmm. And you hope that it's the same browser at every browser. For this technique to work, the browsers are all going to have this lingua franca that they speak, and you have to know when you code up your JavaScript that this is going to work without the shimming, without all the polyfills that you have to do right now to talk to all the different ones. And so I do think that SPAs, I saw a piece of advice online yesterday. Someone said, look at who's using SPAs. You got Facebook, you got Google, you've got, start naming all the biggest names in industry. And they said then, if they're doing it, you are going to have to go a long ways to argue that that's not the path of the future.
And I'm seeing it in enterprises all over the place.
The Walmart, I just went to the Walmart presentation, and they're completely in this model. I don't think they're fully SPA literate yet, but or SPA deployed, but they definitely know what's going on there. And I just, it's such an exciting thing for me because it's another chance for me to be involved with the technology relatively early. And as I've done with a number of other technologies through my 34 years doing this, to watch it grow and watch it exfoliate out into something that then becomes the canon that everybody learns.
And from a teaching perspective, you have the students coming in to learn the programming. How does the SPA world compare to the other worlds you've had them learning in?
It's a whole different world. But it invites me to talk about the virtualization of the world in general, because networks are being virtualized into software-defined networks, and we have data centers are all moving into the cloud, into virtual machines on the cloud. And what I see this as a complete element of the path of the virtualization of the entire world. And in this case, what we're virtualizing is a desktop, in essence, and an operational desktop. And so you code basically to this API. The API is the DOM, and it has been very, very exciting for me. It's really hard, though, because I have to remember to keep my eye on the ball. And the ball is computer science. That is, the theories of data structures and how algorithms work and all those things has to fit in this as well. But I keep hitting this everywhere I go. I just finished teaching a database class. I've always taught it as a SQL database class. Well, now we're NoSQLing at the same time that we're SQLing, and I'm just finding this explosion. While it's very, very exciting, I have so many choices to make and so many things that I have to try to decide upon. It's kind of scary at the same time.
It's an amazing buffet.
It is incredible. And honest to God, I'm living in the golden age of computing, and I've been saying that for 34 years. It really has been exciting.
Wow, it keeps going.
Yep, it keeps going.
Well, thank you very much. This has been wonderful. And more soon on the teaching front.
Thank you.